All right, Dennis, the wrestling tradition is going to continue in North Carolina.
Yep.
A lot of great stuff happening, including NXT having a premium live event coming to Charlotte February 4th, Vengeance, NXT. And, of course, when the pandemic happened, everything kind of went back to Orlando, stayed there. But now they're going to get back on the road with the premium live event, and it's happening in our state. Joining us right now, the Vice President of Creative for NXT. And you may have known him from his stuff in the ring. I mean,
I've heard his name.
He's done a few things.
I've heard his name.
He's done a few things. Shawn Michaels, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so, Shawn, a lot of people might not know what NXT is. A lot of people may be familiar with WWE in terms of Raw and Smackdown. But what is NXT, and why is it vital to the health long-term for WWE?
Sure. Well, look, NXT is what we call a developmental program. It is, I would say, the WWE's version of college football. We obviously we recruit now all over the world with different athletes, obviously, and also other athletes in the wrestling business from an independent standpoint. But we bring them into Orlando, try to train them up, give them experience in the ring, obviously experience on television. It is almost like AAA baseball, or like I said, our college version of the WWE, and it's trying to. And the reason it's vital, obviously, is because we're trying to provide the superstars for tomorrow. Again, this is where, they start to, grow, get their feet wet in this business, start understanding what it is we do, traveling in the ring, obviously live television, and on February 4th, a particularly huge event for all of them here, and that's Vengeance Day that we're having there in Charlotte, which everybody here is obviously very excited about. But it is the WWE's training version, but it's, probably, like I said, like college football in the aspect that anything can happen, still exciting. And I got to be honest, I prefer it over the pros, if you will.
Okay. Well, sounds good.
We're a big college sports area, so we like hearing that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you about this. So you guys are coming to North Carolina, which, of course, you being a student of the game, you've probably wrestled in North Carolina a bunch of times, and then there's a lot of wrestling history in the state of North Carolina, Charlotte specifically, where you guys will be at. What do you think it'll mean for those guys, especially for the ones that may have joined within the last few years and who haven't had a chance to really perform outside of Florida, to be in such a rich a town that's so rich in wrestling history and how they can kind of create their own memories there in a place like Charlotte?
Well, look, as you said, everyone's already excited, and they're already, again, the anxiety and again, the pressure, all of it is already starting to mount after, obviously, we made this announcement. Everybody's very excited about it because, as you say, we have been here in Florida. We have gone outside the state of Florida one time for WrestleMania last year. And again, this is our first premium live event outside of Florida that isn't a WrestleMania in over 2 years since 2020.
Crazy, right?
So for this crew, this is a huge event. Vengeance Day, February 4th. And again, as you say, coming to Charlotte, everyone here knows, again, the rich history of, the NWA, if you will, and of course the Flares. Obviously, I think it'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. So look, everybody's so amped up about it. They're excited. And this is also their opportunity. Again, you feel like this is finally getting back to, again, what NXT is and the whole reason they got into this line of work, which is to show their skill around the world, globally, if you will. And Charlotte's the first step in doing that.
The Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels joining us here on the Heaster Automotive Group Hotline alongside Chris Lea. I'm Dennis Cox. NXT Vengeance Day, February 4th at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Friday, tickets are on sale, so go online, purchase your tickets right now. I know a pre-sale code's already out there, but if you want to attend this premium live event, get your tickets. They go on sale on Friday. Now, my question for you, Shawn, is how much interaction do you have with Triple H in regards to developing these young wrestlers to get to the main roster? Like you said, it's the developmental or college football of the WWE. How much interaction do you have with Triple H in regards to creative, and how much of this is just your own ideas and your own doing?
Well, so look, from a television standpoint, from a weekly television standpoint, what we do on NXT, that is more or less my ballpark.
Okay.
That's where I try to stay. But again, look, we obviously he takes part obviously in the recruiting and all of that. I've been here with him for 5 years. Matt Bloom has an incredible system here at the Performance Center in Orlando. So we already have, sort of have our model in place, if you will, and everything that we do. And then after that, it then becomes who it is we begin to see that we feel like is TV ready. And then we sort of go through a process from character development, names and how it is we see them being represented on television. So for the most part, he was very active in that clearly when he was running NXT, but as he stepped into running everything on the main roster, he puts that in my hands and in the hands of Matt Bloom here. And we obviously, meet and communicate on a regular basis. Matt and I do work with each other every day, doing everything we can to develop those superstars. But he's been, obviously Hunter always checks in and knows who the people are, obviously watches the show. He sees the people that appear to have promise in his sight and in ours as well. So I think we've never talked about it, but I think he obviously takes a mental note of who he sees and what he sees in them. And I'm sure he makes his crew aware of it as well. And then whenever those times comes that they feel like they're ready for a call up or they see a need that they might have, that's when they would give us a call.
Who are those next stars looking to maybe get that call up?
Well, look, obviously that's in the decision of him and the folks on the main roster. But look, I certainly have a lot of people that I think are certainly prepared and at different levels. But look, you've got JD McDonough. You certainly, I know everyone talks about Braun Breaker. You have got Tony D'Angelo, the Creed brothers, from some of our very new, young, fresh talent. You've got Grayson Waller. I think Carmelo Hayes, is a guy that can also be seen on the main roster. So we've got right now what I think are a nice variety of people that are ready in different aspects. Because clearly you never stop learning in this line of work. So they're going to go up there and continue to grow, just as the superstars in the past have done. Pete Dunne, Ridge Holland, a number of people that have, started in NXT have gone up there and evolved and gone on to great careers.
I'm going to add a name in there, Cameron Grimes. He's from North Carolina. He's done a really good job down there at NXT. I know that he'll be ready as well. I wanted to ask you this, though, because you also have a huge hand not only in helping to develop the show, but also in the training aspect, helping people out, character work, in-ring work, promo work, things like that. You're Shawn Michaels. You don't need us to tell you who you are. You know what you've done in this business, and you're one of the most recognizable names that's ever come across in this business. But how rewarding, how fulfilling is it for you to take what you've learned, the lessons that you've been able to learn from yourself and from others, and impart that on the next generation and look on television and see your influence, whether in WWE or elsewhere?
Well, look, it really is. It's humbling. And I have to tell you, that's why I, and how I fell in love with this job. Look, I initially came here 5 years ago and agreed to work 6 hours a week. That was the extent of it. But I did the environment, the culture here. I fell in love with it. And look, I'll say this business has been so good to me. And so this is my way of being able to give back. And look, Hunter is obviously my best friend in the whole wide world. And so you couple that with the company that's been good to me. And they're all the right reasons, for me to be a part of this and to want to pass it on to the next generation. So again, and we have just such wonderful, young men and women that come through here. Look, another guy from NC State, Hank Walker, what I mean, is a guy that's very young on our roster. And so the Creed brothers went to Duke, so it really is. There's so many different reasons, to love what I do. And those are just a couple of them. And look, to be able to, allow, whatever my past, whether it be good, bad, or otherwise, if I can pass that on and help people either not make mistakes or again, make the most of their opportunities, I want to do that because again, I've been very fortunate to find out how wonderful this line of work can be, and to be able to help other young men and women achieve their dreams. Again, it's a special thing to be able to do, and something to be a part of.
Andre Chase from here as well. I want to ask you this. Every time you see whatever you want to call it, sweet chin music, super kick, thrust kick, every time you see one, do you feel like you should get paid for every single one that's thrown?
Royalties, get them.
Royalties for every time somebody. It's like a sample of music.
I'd be doing really okay. Well, look, I take it as a compliment. Again, I can remember when I first broke into the wrestling business. A lot of the old timers said, imitation is the serious, form of flattery, and so that's certainly the way that I take it. But again, look, I know that there were people that inspired me, and again, I don't know. Again, I've always been into the romance of this line of work, and look, so I'm fortunate, and I appreciate the fact that something that I did has had a positive effect on this business. Now, look, would I mind getting a nickel for every time one of those things happens? Of course I would, but I don't think that's realistic. So I'll just be flattered from a distance.
Yeah, even a penny, you'd still be rolling it. You'd still be rolling it right there.
Doing okay, wouldn't I?
Yeah, very, very well. Shawn Michaels from WWE, the Hall of Famer. NXT Vengeance Day, February 4th. Tickets go on sale Friday. Tickets go on sale Friday the 16th. Spectrum Center again, February 4th. So it's right around the corner. Get your tickets now. Get to Charlotte.
Good Christmas present for somebody.
Exactly. Great Christmas present for somebody. Now, you may not know this. Chris is actually a former professional wrestler, but you broke his heart when he was 5 years old when you turned on Marty Jannetty. You broke his heart, and it took him until he was an adult to forgive you. I just wanted to let you know that this man here.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but now he's bringing it up. He's embarrassing me.
But when you hugged it out with Bret Hart in the ring, I think is when he actually forgave you.
Yeah, no. So yeah, true story. As I grew up as a wrestling fan, and I was a huge fan of the Rockers, and I just remember being 5, like seeing that and you kicking him, and it literally broke my heart. So like. You were the heartbreak kid for me, for sure.
Literally. I got to tell you, it's something where I've had to make peace with the fact that there have been a couple things I've done, 2 big ones in my career where I've actually traumatized a generation. Yeah, that's the barbershop in Montreal. And again, to everyone, all these years later, I say, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I swear it was it's in my job description.
It's okay. All is forgiven.
I get it now, of course. Yeah.
All is forgiven. My final question for you, Shawn, why is it important for you to give back to the wrestling industry?
That's a simple one. Because I've lived long enough on this earth to see how much of a blessed life I've had. Honestly, again, and that's that's why I always get emotional when somebody asks me that kind of question, because again, this job has been so good to me. This business, I don't know. I always tell you again, it's like I've said in my documentaries. I don't know, the same business that almost killed me, saved me. And so, again, I don't know. It's the romance. We have such a blessed life, my family and I, and it's because of of this line of work. And I loved doing it when I was out there. And I want this next generation to love it as much as I did, and to want to go out there and perform for the people as much as I loved doing it. And so being able to pass that on to people, I think the business will be better for it if people, I don't know, I guess if they'll do it with the same heart that I did, because I know that heart that I had for that performance inside the ring. So I get, that's the reason why, because I think it's the least I can do.
My quick final question. Ric Flair had his last match. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat recently had his final match. Do you see yourself at any point having that one final match, or are you completely done right now?
Yeah, I've had that final match.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these guys coming back at the age of 70. I didn't know if you still had maybe like a couple more once a decade or something.
No. Yeah, no. Father Time waits on no man. I'm good, and I'm unbelievably happy with my career, and it is now time to watch the next generation flourish.
All right. Well, you're going to see that, and you can see that generation flourish if you're listening to us in Charlotte, North Carolina, Spectrum Center. February 4th is going to be a big-time event, Vengeance Day at the Spectrum Center. First premium live event in a couple years outside of Florida, so we're blessed that it's going to be here in North Carolina. And we're being joined by the legend, Heartbreak Kid, HBK himself. Thank you so much, Shawn Michaels, for joining us today.
Thank you all very much for having me. We appreciate the help.